Let's talk about what sort of things they would be looking for, where they begin with all of this.
Oh, well, I'm not a police investigator, but I personally, and I'm sure many Americans would be interested to try to understand, kind of what influenced him, what shaped his views, and what led him to commit this heinous double murder. That's what I'd like to know more.
Yeah, and let me back it up and just ask you, what were your first impressions when you heard this story? I mean, it took, obviously, everybody off guard. What went through your mind if you know this area, and what happened here?
Yeah, well, I live in Washington, D.C. Actually, I don't know the murdered victims, although the Yaron, the guy, he participated apparently in some of my organization's events, but I never met him. Look, obviously, I see this as my gut reaction is what I think a lot of American Jews are feeling, which is that there's a climate of hate. And that's been tolerated for far too long in this country. But, we all saw a surge of anti-Semitism that shockingly spiked after the horrendous October 7th massacre, when Jews were the targets and the victims in Israel, and it led to even more anti-Semitism. And so I think there's just been a terrific. Terrific is in terrible. I mean, is in great. Is in large. Climate of hate. I think that we had politicians for far too long, but particularly on the left, during the Biden administration, that either would say, I think President Biden had said, these demonstrators have a point, right? And you had a lot of that on the Democratic Party. You did not hear criticism very much. You had Senator Schumer, the majority leader of the Senate, who's Jewish, the ranking Democrat, I should say, in the Senate, who was Jewish, telling the president of Colombia, this is really an issue of Republicans, not for Democrats. The media, I think, was far too kind to these people. Obviously, the campuses have been not just tolerated, but the professors and the administrators seem to really were part of it. And they're just as common. Hey, we all know that if these demonstrators over those last year and a half were wearing white hoods and railing against various minorities of color, there would have been a different reaction. But Jewish blood has been seen as really cheap. But when people yell globalize the Intifada, they're talking about doing things like this murder. So I hope this murder is a wake-up call for people. Frankly, I don't see it on the campuses yet,
right,
based on what I'm seeing still at Columbia and Harvard.
Yeah.
But I think I give President Trump a lot of credit. I think he's, from day one, and his administration has been very focused on combating this anti-Semitism.
Well, I was going to say, we've been having a lot of Columbia students come on our air, especially on the weekend show that I do, talking about what they have been seeing in terms of protesters and police presence and the pushback and how it's being handled. And you mentioned about people yelling, and the suspect, Elias Rodriguez, did shout "Free Palestine" as he was arrested. So this was a huge moment. Let's take a listen to that.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
I mean, a lot of people shaking their heads hearing that, watching that. Is he looking to be some kind of martyr? He could face the death penalty if convicted. What were your thoughts when you heard his words?
I mean, this is, again, I don't know him. We got to find out more. You mentioned at the beginning, we got to see what the police find when they go through these things. We've learned some things from what he's posted online or participated in some events. He was briefly part of this far left organization that seems basically anti-American, anti-Western. But you wonder when that slogan, free Palestine and River to the Sea, globalizing the Father, all these young people are not just young people, older professors. So I should say a lot of people have been, they're spouting these slogans. I'm not sure they fully know what they mean, but unfortunately for some people, what they mean is kill Jews. And when they talk about Zionists, they don't mean Israelis, they mean Jews. We've seen that in Colombia where they say Zionists aren't allowed here. They didn't mean Israelis, they mean Jews. I really think, if I may, and I don't know if he was influenced by the rhetoric, but it seems like it because he's spouting these slogans that people are spouting on these on these campuses, but I don't really think these campuses get it.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.